Greetings, everyone. This is Long Yu. Welcome to All Things Spiritual. Today, this video is going to be a little more personal. I'm going to talk about my own spirituality path and, yes, just kind of tell you the story of my own spirituality. So, what I would like to say is that I've been very, very spiritual all since a child, since as long as I can remember, since the earliest of my childhood years that I can remember. I was always very much spiritual. I've always believed in the Creator. I always believed in deities, and and you could say that I believed in the one most powerful God or creator being that is the creator of all creations, you could say. And so throughout my life, that has been very, very consistent, and I've always been consistently doing my own personal spiritual practice. And what is very interesting is that I actually, without knowing, I've been practicing Wicca, but I didn't know that that was the word for what I was practicing. So I guess throughout my life, I've been a Wiccan without knowing it. And now I finally realize that Wicca is my spiritual path in my own personal way. As everyone knows who practices Wicca, that everyone has their own personal way of practicing it, and there's no one right way, that there's many different ways, but they all have a common theme and a few things they have, that kind of unifies them all as being Wiccan. So yes, I've always been practicing this, and now I understand that it is what I do is basically it's a form of Wicca, spiritual beliefs. And I'll talk a little more about that. So I worship both the female and male aspect of the Creator, and I always have and worship both female and male aspect. So for me, God was never just male. God has a female aspect to the divine Creator, and that actually it's even more beneficial to go towards the female aspect before approaching the male aspect. So that's actually the way that I've always practiced is addressing the female aspect of the Creator before addressing the male aspect. So honoring both, but approaching the female aspect as the one you go to first. So in other words, you go to mother first before approaching father. It kind of makes sense, too, when I think about it that way. You kind of, if you think about a child, the child usually runs to the mother for all its needs before approaching the father. If the mother's not available, then yes, the child goes to the father, but usually kids, they approach the mother. They're usually crying out for mom, mom, mom. So yes, mata, mom, mother, mataji, mat. So I've always honored mother and father, both mother and father. And so yeah, this is very interesting. I believe in the cause of all causes, the Creator of all creations, and that there are many different what would you call it, subsequent gods and goddesses that are basically they're all servants of the all-powerful divine Creator. So the subsequent gods and goddesses are very, very powerful themselves, but they're not equal to or on the same platform as the divine creator who's created these, you can say, these lesser gods. So yes, I believe there's lots of different gods and goddesses, and that they're all very powerful, and people can pray to them for different benefits according to which god is kind of in charge of which duty. So there's so many aspects to this material creation in the management of the affairs of what's going on in our universe. And so these different gods and goddesses have various different powers and are in charge of different things. So different pagans worship them for different reasons, and they approach the particular god that they know that can be beneficial to what their needs are. So for myself, I usually just pray to the divine, most the creator of all creations. I usually pray to the one supreme being, but I'm in recognition of all these other gods and goddesses, and that one supreme being, like I said, has both female and male aspect. So that's a point. And then as far as deities, the more physical representation of these gods and goddesses, that's also a part of my spiritual practice, is with the use of various deities, and that they can be worshipped with gratitude, love, and devotion, and with a humble mood. And so yes, I do have my own personal altar set up, and usually wherever I go and wherever I live, I always set up a little bit of an altar. And I've always been into the earth, and I've always been into very natural cycles of the earth, and always honoring Mother Earth. And I've always been into crystals, actually. There's actually never been a time that I didn't own a crystal. So throughout my entire life, since early childhood, when my dad first took me to these crystal stores near around the Joshua Tree National Monument in Southern California, that began my crystal collection. So when I was a girl, I started collecting crystals. I was really into them. I was really into the feelings that I would get with the crystals, just this magical feeling. And then throughout my life, I've always had in my possession some sort of crystal or many crystals. Like I usually have at least a little bit of a crystal collection on hand. And that's been very consistent as well. And then through my my work, my personal work is very much in line with Wicca. So I'm actually an artist, and I do various forms of different things. I do more like visual art with drawing and coloring and designing pictures and things like that, and using color and the mixture of colors and how you can create various effects and stuff like this. And my art is always focused on nature. I usually do art that is about nature, that it's about either the botanicals, the florals, or it's about landscapes, or it's about wild animals. So my art is very nature focused. And then another thing that also I do is the cloth arts, the arts of using fabric, cloth, and string. And so with cloth arts, I always make little pouches, little bags, things you could put your little crystals in. I make bags that you can use for shopping, reusable cloth grocery bags, shopping bags, because I've always been pretty eco-conscious as well. That's another aspect of Wicca, to be environmentally conscious. And that started when I was a teenager in school, when I had a very environmentally conscious English teacher, and she taught us about buying products that were not tested on animals, and she taught us about not trying to use less plastics and how to go about doing that to minimize waste. And she rode her bicycle to school as the teacher. She never drove a car. She always rode her bike. She was awesome, such an awesome lady. So I learned a lot from her about being eco-conscious. So I do that. And so with cloth, I like to make reusable cloth grocery bags. And then I also have made lots of clothes and different things that would be more like you would wear them, skirts and different things. I'm not very good at making clothes versus making accessories and just other things. Then with string, I like making jewelry with string. With string, I do bracelets and necklaces, and it's knot work. It's working with knots, and I find it to be so peaceful and relaxing. It's so meditative, and it's just something I've been doing since I was a girl also. And I've given so many of these bracelets and necklaces to friends throughout the years. I would just make them and give them away as gifts to people that I know. And I'm currently working on a very special necklace that I'm going to be combining with crystals. And so that's a part of my artistic work that I do. And then another part of my artistic work is doing voiceover, talking about spirituality and different forms of spirituality. This is just a part of my journey and my life and my focus. So combining the art with my altar and prayers and spiritual practices and various chanting and various mantras and all these things. This is all a combination of my spirituality, and the focus is of consciousness, is being in the present moment and being in a state of gratitude, and trying to my daily practice is basically staying in the present moment and having that feeling of humbleness and gratitude and thankfulness to the Creator, and just trying to be of service, trying to do basically good in this world. So that's really what I focus on. And what I've noticed from doing so much research on these religions, as you might notice, my channel is all full of religions and talking about different spiritual practices and religions and relating it to vegetarianism and things like that. Vegetarianism is definitely a big part of my spirituality, and that is no animal killing, neither for food nor for religion. I stand for that. That's my that is my part of my spiritual beliefs. And so I like to relate that with religions and how they have, adopted certain vegetarian aspects and stuff like that. But what I want to say is, after researching so many different religions, what I've come to notice is the extremism in some of these religions and the non-necessary rules and regulations and the flaws. So I've become very what would you say? I would say I've become very disappointed in learning of these religions, because I can see the flaws in all of them. And so that's why I just basically have my own spiritual path. And I'm not a part of any particular religion, except I would say I come closest to Wicca. That would be the one I could basically relate with the most. The other religions, there's too many issues and flaws with them, and I'll tell you what that means, really. So there's flaws within each religion that is having to do with control, power, basically just locking people into this box where they don't have freedom to choose for themselves, and it seems like it's sort of brainwashing people into thinking a particular narrow-minded way. So I don't like that, and I also don't like the extremism of focusing your life on something which could be like where your entire life is just like, it's almost like your entire life is focused on just dying in your afterlife. Like it's like you're just waiting to die and then have a better afterlife. So that seems weird to me. Instead of just, I like the earth religions, the Wicca, the earth pagan religions, which are more in celebration of life, more in a celebration of life, where everything's really positive and happy and celebrating the seasons and just being in this present moment where you are in this present physical body, and we are eternal spirit souls, but not to just negate everything, and not to just like where you're just basically being so severe in your ways that you're just focusing on this afterlife so hardcore that it takes almost the joy out of life, it seems. So I find that in various religions, some that I'm going to go through, like doing videos of each one to kind of explain this. I don't want to narrow it down into the names of these religions in this video, but just to say that I'm just pointing out the things that I find as flaws. So that's one thing. Another thing that is disappointing to see is the amount of animal sacrifice being done in the name of religion is just absurd, absolutely insanity to me. And the amount of justifying eating meat in the name of their religion as well is just completely crazy to me. So yeah, I just believe in equal for all, non-violence towards animals. I believe in kindness, and I believe in loving kindness towards all creatures and all life, and especially our fellow animals that are so similar to human beings and they're sentient beings. I especially feel that humans should be their protectors and not their killers. And so I appreciate those spiritualities which protect the lives of animals. And so I've taken aspects from certain spiritualities that do protect animals' lives. So yeah, that's another thing that I see. I don't find that to be spiritual or godly to be killing animals, neither for food nor religious sacrificial practices or anything like that. And what else do I see as a flaw? Okay, and then I see flaws with certain religions where they're basically saying their path is the only way, and any other path you're going straight down to basically what they call hell. And that completely is a flaw to me. So that means they're really narrow-minded, that they really don't understand the vast, wide variegatedness in this world of the so many different paths towards, you could say, enlightenment, so many different ways and paths towards enlightenment, and that to be so selfishly thinking, oh, my path is the only way, this religion is the only way, and that's it. I just think that is so narrow-minded. And also another flaw is those religions in which they make you believe that you are born a sinner. I find that to be completely a depressing mode of thinking, and I would hate to believe such nonsense, in my opinion. To me, it's just utterly nonsense to be thinking that you're just born a sinner and that you would need something to straighten you out, kind of thing. In fact, I believe that we are all eternal spiritual souls which are full of bliss and knowledge, and that we are stuck, or rather trapped, into these material bodies for a temporary amount of time to learn lessons, to learn and to grow, and to make our to fulfill our desires here in the material world, and to learn lessons along the way, and so that we may become better ourselves, become self-enlightened, or have a self-realization about who we are and what is our position in the cosmic manifestation, and who is in power, who is the true cause of all causes. And that can mean different things for different people. So yeah, that's basically it. So what I'm going to do is I will do separate videos. I'm going to talk about some more various religions, and I'm going to give my opinion on these religions and let you know what I think is the flaws of these religions and why I don't adopt them. All right, so yeah, that's it, pretty much it. I just wanted to share a little bit of my own personal spirituality here, and thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I'll be back soon to talk more about the specifics of certain religions, okay, and other spiritualities. And also we'll be going more in depth about Wicca, especially, yes.